My friend disrespected my home rules, so I left her empty-handed.
Ooh, you're not getting nothing out of no one.
I will truly spare no detail. I'm giving you the full backstory, all the drama, all the twists and turns, and everything that happens. All the people and all the opinions. It's a story about a girl who was all around messy, stupid, and compulsive liar, most likely, and how she basically destroyed her life. My revenge isn't petty because she pretty much did everything herself, but I was still satisfied, and it filled my cup of revenge. By the way, this comes from user StockFun1001, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. Been thinking about posting this story for a while since I got my fair share of petty points for doing what I did, but also it was deserved, so I'm not even sorry. Maybe someone will get some enjoyment out of it. I've been told before to post this story on Reddit, and now I'm ready to share. This all happened about 3 years ago. I, female 24 at the time, was together with my then boyfriend, now ex, male 25 at the time, Chris. He had a work friend about the same age as us. Honestly, I can't remember her exact age. Probably around 24 or 25 at the time, same as ours. We'll call her Dana. Since Chris worked as a delivery driver for a really big delivery company, I spent some of my free days just driving around in the passenger seat of his delivery van. We had fun, we ate snacks and listened to music. I liked being a passenger princess. Dana was his colleague, also a delivery driver for the same company, doing the exact same job, just delivering packages to a different area in the city. They had become really good, just platonic friends, so some mornings when they waited for their vans to be loaded, I saw her around, and eventually we started talking and really hit it off. All three of us started hanging out together. Dana was a real extrovert, loud and always laughing about everything, loving to be the center of attention, a little bit too much drinky poo for every day, but hey, I can't judge. She loved all the attention from men and all that, but at the same time, it was fun to be around her. She was a friend you could call and know that she would be down for whatever. So we all went to a car show together. Friends gatherings, swimming, fishing. My boyfriend loved doing that. Just driving around the city at night. Sometimes me and her would talk about our experiences, our relationships, the drama, the trauma, and everything in between. She and I shared some similar experiences and relationship and family traumas. So we really connected. Not to make this longer, but our trio became really good friends. A couple of months go by. Enter another character from Chris's work, Jack. Also the same job. Also a car guy, like my boyfriend, so he started to hang with us sometimes as well. If I'm not mistaken, they knew each other beforehand, and Chris got him a job there since it was great and the pay was pretty nice. Since they started working together, Chris and he would hang around pretty much every day around their cars. They were both BMW folk and were practically married to their cars. Jack started to like Dana. She wasn't his usual type. He was more of a blonde, skinny, demure, girly girl kind of guy, and Dana was the exact opposite. Fire red hair, a noticeably big girl, and definitely not demure or girly. Her style was a lot of makeup, black see-through tops, and leather shorts. Now we're pretty much a 4-person friend group. Me and my boyfriend, Jack and Dana. Jack was trying to get Dana's attention, and she was loving it. He would pay for her drinks, her food, and would take her on drives in his car. They were texting and meeting, and stuff was happening. Me and my boyfriend were happy. It would be pretty cool if they had gotten together. Me and Dana would also text and talk a lot in private without the boys. One evening when she was at our place, I asked how things were going with Jack. She opened up that she didn't really like him. He wasn't her type at all, but she liked the attention and he was really nice towards her. They go out and drive around practically every night, talking and blah, blah, blah. She feels safe with him. He was openly expressing that he likes her and maybe would like something more. She is still thinking about that in his eyes, but in reality, her mind is set that nothing more is going to happen. I was kind of disappointed. Not because she didn't like him. Frankly, I didn't care about that. Can't change the way you feel about a person. If you don't like someone romantically, that's completely fine. But I was disappointed because she let this thing just go on for so long, kind of like stringing him along and not saying anything. I, of course, talked to Chris about this since we talk about everything. His opinion was just let that conversation go. They'll figure it out themselves. And I was on board with that. I also didn't want to start any unnecessary drama. It's not my place. So for the next month or so, me and Chris knew nothing. Jack was sometimes asking Chris or me some questions, trying to get out of us some information about whether Dana liked him at all. And we just told him that she didn't really say much. And that was kind of true because after me and Dana talked about Jack that one time, we never really brought it up again. We all just continued to hang out. When all of us were together, you would think that Dana and Jack were a couple. Sometimes even more of a couple than me and Chris. They had kissed, but they were not together officially. I don't know about the spicy tango, but one evening, mine and Chris's phones were blowing up, and it was Dana she wanted to meet. She sounded distressed on the phone, so we jump in the car and we go to her place. Came outside her apartment building and jumped into our car. We saw that she had been crying. She has makeup smudged all over her. She told us that her boyfriend broke up with her.
When did y'all become boyfriend-girlfriend?
I thought somebody was not feeling anything about this guy.
You said that you didn't like him.
I didn't know she had a boyfriend other than Jack, who could maybe be considered as one. But it turned out all this time, she had a boyfriend. Tom! Chris knew nothing of that. He remembered that some time ago, before Jack was in the scene, Dana used to casually refer to dating their colleague, Tom, but it never really went anywhere and she stopped bringing him up. So he just assumed that there was nothing there. And he and Tom were not really that close at work. In reality, she and Tom were fully together. She moved in with him. They were together for 8 months, and now that Tom broke up with her, she had nowhere to go and was crying in our car begging for our help since she was now homeless. While she was crying in our car, she also opened up about other things in her life. She told us that she was also leaving her job, that almost 2 weeks ago she had handed in her 2 weeks notice and that she had to work only one more shift. She hated her job and was tired of it, so decided to quit and search for another job. Tom had told her he would support her in the meantime. Me and Chris both knew that she had issues with money. She had told us that before, but we really didn't know the extent of that. According to her, when she was about 18, her then boyfriend had taken multiple loans out in her name, and she was still paying them off and pretty much living on nothing. She didn't say how much in the loans she was paying, but after some beating around the bush, we gathered that it could be well over $10,000. For us, that is a lot. So she was in big debt and had nowhere to live and no money and no job. And at this moment, I really felt for this girl. Now, some context on me and my living situation, because it's important to the story. Before me and Chris were together, I used to live alone in an apartment. My dad bought it for me in the city if I ever went to college or something, so he let me live there while he lived elsewhere. I loved that apartment. It was small, a 1-bedroom, nothing fancy. Needed a little work, but I don't really need much. When I started dating Chris, I kind of moved in with him without even noticing. You know how that happens. We just went there to grab my things once in a while to water my houseplants because I had a lot of them at the time, so no one lived in that apartment. I still paid all the bills and most of my stuff was there, and bills were not much since there was no electricity or water being used, and I didn't have to pay any rent because my dad owned it. Now back to the story. I offered for her to stay in my apartment. It was actually pretty logical for me. She could move in there. She wouldn't have to pay me any rent, just pay the utility bills, altogether around 100 euros a month, which is really cheap, and water my houseplants once a week. With this situation, she would pretty much have her own place. Even if she didn't find a job right away, it'd be fine. She could pay me back those utility bills when she got back on her feet. We'd think of something. I would let her stay for as long as she needed, and she could live there fully and unpack with ease. I wouldn't have to go there. She could just live there and everything's fine. I understood her situation. I'd been in similar ones. I wanted to be a good friend and help. I told her about my place, that it's not a fancy apartment, but still okay. Furniture is pretty old. Most of it is from the time when I was a baby, which is more than 20 years old. The fridge is 20 years old, but works wonderfully. It hasn't been renovated in a while, so the walls and the floor don't have any aesthetic. But the furniture is solid. I have everything in life I need, and the kitchen is pretty cool, my favorite room, and I have a lot of house plants, so it looks pretty nice. I did my best to make it feel like a home. Me and Chris were pretty serious at this point, so I would feel safe if I moved in with him permanently. I had been living with him already for 6 to 7 months. I also told her some rules if she decided to say yes. No smoking tobacco inside, which she did sometimes partake in. No new people. Those are the only 2 rules. I think both are pretty self-explanatory. Maybe no new people would raise some questions, but I'm a pretty private person and I rarely bring someone I don't know into my apartment. And since I know that she loves attention from men and occasional one-night stands, plus she is recently broken up with, I didn't want strange men in my apartment just because it's still my home and some of my most important things are there. She took my offer and we talked about what needed to be done. By tomorrow evening, she and her stuff could be there. We took her to our place to stay the night, and the next day we went back to Tom's to get her stuff. She mostly just sat around on Tom's bed and cried while me and Chris packed her stuff and took it to our cars. Then with 2 cars and all of her stuff, we all went to my apartment. Now, my apartment is on the 5th floor with no elevator. For me, it's never really been an issue. Our first journey up the stairs, though, she had already said some snarky stuff about it being on the 5th floor, and now she'll have to walk up flights of stairs every day. I just brushed it off. Mind you, she didn't even help us take her stuff up. She just went up and sat on my bed, still crying, still depressed. While she's sitting on the bed crying and stressed eating a taco, I did some reorganizing, taking my clothes out of the closet so she had closet space, cleaning out some drawers, all of that. I packed most of my stuff anyway, where it wouldn't get into the way of normal living. Chris is walking up and down the stairs with her stuff, plopping it all in a pile in the living room floor, exhausted. At this point, he has carried all of her stuff up 5 flights of stairs. I talk a little with Dana while she starts putting some stuff away and commenting on the size of my apartment. A lot of snarky comments, but again, I brush it off.
Girl, at that point, I'd be like, excuse me, you're living here for free?
I am not even kidding. My reaction to that is, so looks like we're going to take all your stuff back downstairs. I'll take you to a shelter. Then you can comment about how small it is there. Actually, I'm pretty sure the communal space at the shelter will be much larger than the apartment I'm letting you live in for free. I tell her a little about how to pay for utilities, ask her to water my plants once a week. We talk about keys. I only had one set, so Chris quickly ran to make another copy. The mail, cleaning the apartment, all the things that you would talk about when leaving someone to live in your apartment. I tell her to text me if she has any questions. After all of that, me and Chris head back home. I text with her for the next couple of days. She seems fine. We periodically try to get her out of the house, but she just comes once. We went for a drive, and actually it was fun. I asked her how everything was with Jack, and she tells us that everything is fine, and they are still friends. From Chris, I knew that he told Jack about everything. About Tom, about the job, about moving. He was pretty shocked and disappointed, but didn't look surprised. After this, we all kind of started living our lives. Chris and Jack were still colleagues and friends and would meet up on the reg. Me and Dana would talk every day. One night, I tell her I remembered that she could file for insolvency. Where we live, you can file for insolvency if you are in big debt and just have no way of paying it back. There are some rules, but I remember that she checked all the boxes, and in that case, her debt would be wiped to basically nothing. She had to pay something, but it was comparatively nothing. To my surprise, she didn't want to do it. She didn't want to go through the hassle of lawyers and meetings and judgments and all that. For the next couple of days, I tried to persuade her. I laid out all the positives. I Googled and found a good lawyer who offered free consultations about that exact problem. So she finally gave in and went to the consultation, and thanks to that consultation and some paperwork, she basically erased her debt. We knew that she and Jack are spending most of the evenings together. She told us about this great job that one of her friends got her in a pretty big company, and things started to look up. Sometimes we would even go for a drive, get a little Mickey D's, take a little trip together. One night we were all at a car meet where she was a little wasted and met a guy and went home with him. For the record, I wouldn't have let her go anywhere with a random guy wasted, but she slipped away from me that night. I couldn't do anything. Everything ended up being fine, though. They went to his place. They hooked up. I get it. Recently single, yada, yada. Anyway, a little over a month goes by. One night, I look at my utility bills online, and I notice she hasn't paid them. There are 2 invoices that she would have to pay, and both are still outstanding. One is pretty fresh, so that would be fine, but the other one is already red. I text her to ask her if she would do it and when, because every day you don't pay, it grows. I notice she also hadn't paid for the electricity bills. I text, she doesn't answer. I see her online. That whole evening, she is online but not reading my message. It starts getting sketchy for me. I talked it out with Chris and we decided to wait until tomorrow, but I already feel in my gut that some crap is about to go down. I just know she's not going to pay me. And before you say anything, yes, it was my mistake for not signing any kind of lease or agreement with her. I know that, and I will never make this mistake again. And let this be a lesson to you as well. I should have signed some form of sublease agreement or something so that a situation like this could be avoided. But at the same time, I regret nothing. I saw her true colors and I got my revenge. The next day, no answer. I text again, the same thing happens, no response. Chris texts her, also nothing. She's online on WhatsApp constantly but doesn't read any of our messages. I start to worry, what do? I pay all the bills so they don't get any bigger, and I send her a message that I did so. Also, you now owe me X amount of dollars. If I remember correctly, it was like 170 euros. Still no response. While this is all happening, Chris and Jack are living their regular lives as well. But one thing is different. Jack refuses to talk about Dana at all. Chris tries to throw in that Dana is being an a-hole for not responding to me about bills. Jack is not having it. He just responds that the girls will figure it out themselves. So basically, Chris just lets it go. They continue working and meeting up sometimes to help each other out with their cars. 2 weeks go by. I'm caught up in work, and I don't have time to deal with the Dana drama. I don't text her. She read all the messages on WhatsApp at some point and didn't respond, which is what I kind of knew was going to happen. Weekend rolls by. Chris and I have a free day, and we decide to pay her a visit. She doesn't work on Saturdays, so we took a chance that she was going to be home. One thing from the time she moved in, I had to give her my set of keys because one of the keys that Chris ran to make didn't work, and we decided to get that sorted out later. My apartment door has 2 keys, one big one and one small. No way. I see you.
Ooh, I see it.
She did not.
She
If
did
this girl changed the
she
locks.
changed the locks. She changed the
Ooh.
locks.
So the new big one was fine, but the new small one wouldn't even turn. So I just gave her my small one until she makes me a new one. We all kind of forgot about it since I didn't have to go there anyway. We really took a chance by going there because I couldn't even get in my apartment. And of course, she wasn't home. Chris had an idea. We could postpone our visit until Monday when she gets off work. It's a bigger chance that she's going to go home from work on Monday. On a Saturday, I wouldn't wait for her all night. She could be anywhere doing anything, and we're right. On Monday, we go back. Chris parks somewhere else so she wouldn't see his car, and we wait in the stairwell. Her car rolls up right on time, and we put our game faces on. We hear her steps coming up the stairs, and to our surprise, when she turns the corner, she's not alone. There's a guy right behind her. She looks completely taken aback, but tries really hard to keep her composure. She says hi and asks us, "What are you doing here?"
And then I'd be like, oh, this is my apartment.
Yeah.
Remember?
Oh, this is the apartment.
Remember, this is my apartment?
Chris says that we were just going to check on some stuff, take some stuff with us, and check on my plants. That we couldn't get a hold of her, so we just decided to stop by. She tells us that she's not here for long and that she needs to change outfits and that she and whoever the F that was behind her is going to go. They have some stuff to do. I'm fine with that. Let's go. We all go the remaining flights of the stairs to my apartment. She unlocks it and we all go in. I turn back and see that Chris shuts the door right in front of that other dude who is completely sure he's coming in with us. Yeah, right. Dana notices but says nothing. She knows. We go inside and look around, and of course the place is a mess, but I kind of already knew that. I see an ashtray on the window full of cigarette butts. On the coffee table, 2 cups, 2 wine glasses, 2 bowls. Most of my houseplants are already completely dead. Of course, she has had that guy over. Of course, she was smoking inside. Why not? Dana starts changing and putting on more makeup. I stay pretty quiet, just walking around watering my houseplants, looking at the damage, and plotting my revenge. Chris and I talked before that if all of our hunches about the bad things turned out true, we wouldn't really say anything, but after visiting, just set the plans in motion to change the locks. So we do just that. Chris casually mentioned that I sent her the bills, and Dana says she's going to take a look at them. We talk some more, and everything is just overall awkward, more for her than us. When she's ready, we are all pretty much ready to leave, and we all go out, and she locks the apartment, and that guy is still waiting for her outside the apartment. We say our goodbyes and get in our cars. If they drive away, we start plotting. I end up calling my dad, who kind of knew about the situation. I told him we needed to change the locks to the apartment. He told us what to buy, so we have everything ready, and he would drive up tomorrow to do it. The next day rolls up. Dana should be at work. Dad is on his way. He had to drive 2 hours, and everything else is bought and ready to go. We go to the apartment, and Dad opens the door with his keys, and everything is still the same, and my dad is really taken by surprise. He makes some totally understandable remarks and gets to changing the locks. I start cleaning the place and washing the dishes, and Chris helps. Since Dana won't be able to get in the apartment anymore, I wanted it clean. I don't want old food in the fridge or dirty dishes and empty bottles everywhere and all the other mess. Her stuff we'll worry about later. There's nothing important, and I don't really live there at the moment. It doesn't take that long, and we're gone before Dana could be home from work. At around the time she would be at the door, not able to open it, Chris and I are at home and phones in hand, waiting for Dana to call. To our surprise, Jack calls Chris. He answers and puts it on speaker. Jack is asking why we changed the locks and that Dana is in complete distress since she can't get in the apartment and is left with her work purse, whatever's on her person, and nothing else. Jack and Chris talk for a while. Chris explains the situation, also mentioning the guy that has apparently been living there with her. We just found out through mutual friends that it was the same guy she got wasted with and left that night at the car meet, plus he's been staying there for a while. Chris pretty much tells him everything, and Jack is just not having it. In his eyes, Dana could do no such thing.
Jack, dude, stop being such a freaking simp, man.
Apparently, Jack said they've been going out almost every evening and could be considered a couple now. Chris and Jack finish up talking. Jack tells him that he is going to take Dana to his place for now, but that we should really figure this crap out because he's not taking her to move in with him. I could give 0 Fs. Later that night, Dana messaged me and sends me a really long paragraph, basically saying that she never agreed to pay anything, not true, and that I am the a-hole for bringing up any bills and utilities out of the blue. She doesn't remember any conversations about her paying anything, which is why she never answered, because she didn't know what to say. And I was just asking for money now for no reason. Now I was just changing the locks without a reason as well, and she can't get home. She didn't do anything wrong and wants at least some of her stuff for now and to talk about getting the rest. I was livid. Now I have to deal with gaslighting. However, I knew what to do. I remembered a time where we, Me, Chris, Dana, and Jack were at Mickey D's with a bunch of other friends. A good portion of the friend group all started talking about the fact that Dana recently moved into my place. Everyone was really happy that something had worked out for Dana, and we all talked about how it would be really easy for her to get on her feet by just paying the utilities at my place. We even discussed how my utilities were cheaper than everyone else's since my apartment is not at the center of the city and is pretty small. Remembering this gave me an idea. I wasn't done with her. I didn't care that now I had everything she owned at my place and she couldn't get to it. I didn't care that she didn't even have a change of clothes or her charger. I was more mad that she was now trying to gaslight me into believing that I never said she had to pay anything. So I made a group chat. Everybody who was at that table at McDonald's that night and a couple more of our mutual friends, just for the fun of it, some boyfriends and girlfriends, etc. And of course, Dana, Jack, and Chris. I think it was around 12 to 14 people in total. I sent a pretty long message, basically explaining the situation and asking about our conversation that night. Did I really say that Dana could live there for free? And the group chat blew up. No one could believe what Dana did, and she was getting dragged. Everyone remembered our conversation, and some friends even remembered Dana saying that she could maybe pay me something in rent when she got back on her feet, not only utility bills. I end up sending some screenshots from mine and Dana's chat, some other receipts, and everyone is dragging Dana even more and more. Dana had already told some of those people that I locked her out, but didn't really say why. Also, this group chat reveals that she owes a lot of money to some of these friends. She asked them to help out because I was asking her to pay ungodly amounts of rent each month. Dana, of course, left the chat. Jack stays and reads everything, not contributing, just reading. Amongst these friends is also the girl, 28, that got Dana her new job, Tina. We were not very close, but sometimes saw each other since our boyfriends are car guys. She is the most shocked and messages me privately. She writes all the things Dana has been saying behind my back to whoever will listen. Those things you can most likely guess. About the huge rent that I'm asking from nowhere, that I won't leave her alone about the money, how we're trying to break her and Jack apart, all of that. Tina and I end up meeting, and she says she can actually get Dana fired if I wanted to. I say no. OP says that would be a little too petty of me to do.
Thank you.
As much as I hate her now, I was actually thinking of giving her all of her stuff back because what would I do with it anyways? I also don't think I have the guts to leave a fellow girl with absolutely nothing. I actually was kind of sad for her. She doesn't have anywhere to go and absolutely no stuff to her name. A couple of days pass. Chris and Jack meet at work, and Jack says that the group chat night, she just drove away and blocked him. His eyes opened when he read everything, and it's a good thing he didn't even have a chance to see her after reading all that because he would have lost it. The three of us meet and we talk through it all. Now, some of his side of the story. Since the beginning, Dana never said anything about Tom. Of course, how could she? She behaved, talked, and acted like she was single. She had Jack wrapped pretty tight around her finger. She never told him where she lived exactly. Pickup and drop-offs were from the gas station near Tom's place, and managed to keep Tom a relationship and living with a man a secret until the move. We later found out that she told Tom that she was just out with friends. Tom broke up with her because someone, most likely Tom's friend, who knew that they were together had seen Dana and Jack kissing and told him, and he already suspected cheating, so that was all he needed. She pretty much gaslit Jack moving forward. When Jack asked about Tom just after they broke up and she moved to my place, she reminded him that she explicitly never said that she was single, that she was in love with Jack, and she wanted to break up with Tom at the time anyways, just to be with Jack. She manipulated him into not talking about it with anyone at all, which is why he didn't want to hear anything about those bills at the time. Dana just dug up some lies if the situation changed anywhere, and managed to keep the coast clear. When she moved into my place, they continued to meet about 3 or 4 times a week in the evenings, just driving around and falling in love. But apparently Dana wasn't as much falling in love if we remember the random guy at the car meet incident. And Jack, of course, knew nothing of this. He was under the impression that they were slowly becoming a couple and all that until the group chat night when all went to crap. He apologized for being a bad and completely blind friend. And it's okay, buddy. Women can pull the wool over our eyes sometimes. Now, back to Dana and how she didn't get her crap back. To recap, some time had passed since the group chat night. None of her friends were speaking to her anymore. Some just sent her passive-aggressive texts and asked for their money back. She didn't respond. We didn't hear from her for 2 months. Chris, through some work colleagues, heard where Dana was living. It turned out that she had contacted one of her ex-colleagues at Chris's work, someone who was a pretty good friend of hers, and begged for a place to stay. He, male in his mid-30s, and his wife, female 27, had a house in the city, and the second floor was pretty much empty. So she was now living there. Let's call this couple Rachel and Ross, just for fun. Chris told Ross that if Dana wanted her stuff back, she had to come to our place, apologize, and tell us what the heck was going on with her, because that was what I wanted to receive if I was to give back her stuff. An apology and an explanation, because I could understand anything if you were truly sorry and understood what you did and tried to fix the whole thing. I still understood that Dana had not had an easy life, and that can really cause a person to do weird and awful stuff, especially if she was in survival mode with depression and anxiety and was just trying to find her way. Ross also spent some time with Chris talking about the whole apartment situation and was really surprised to hear some of that stuff. He said Dana told him something, but not that, and he wanted to talk a little to his wife before they made any decisions. He took that conversation home, and a couple of days later, we were invited to their house. We didn't know what was happening, so we just went there blindly. We didn't know if Dana was going to be there or not, and she wasn't, because it turns out after Ross came home and started to ask questions, Dana took whatever new stuff she had gotten herself, jumped in her car, and left. She didn't have much stuff, so moving out from there was pretty easy. Ross and Rachel wanted to know more about the situation, so they invited us over. They made us a nice dinner, and we talked everything out. We told them the whole story, and they were shocked. Dana had told them that we broke up, her and her boyfriend, and because of us, she didn't have a place to stay. And the same story about the apartment, that I changed the locks out of nowhere, that I wanted her to pay some crazy amount for rent every month, and when she couldn't, I just changed the locks, and now she had no stuff. They felt really bad for her and invited her to live in their house on the second floor. It was empty anyway, with just some basic furniture. Turns out she did stupid things with them too. She would eat all of their food, not buying any. Rachel made dinner for everyone, and Dana would eat more than half of it. Yes, she was a stress eater. Ross's snacks were gone. She would sometimes snarkily comment that he bought things she didn't like. Since she had no stuff, she used a lot of Rachel's stuff. Toiletries, the hairdryer, the hair straightener, clothes, socks, shoes, nail polish, towels, makeup, chargers. One time, she even left the hair straightener plugged in for a whole night and burned the entire wooden floor underneath it. Good thing the house didn't catch on fire. Ross and Rachel started to see that Dana could be a problem and began talking with her about the food, about coming home late at night, and the loud music from the car when someone dropped her off back at the house, about the frickin' straightener almost burning the house down. She had consumed everything from their bar, and a lot of other small problems they were having. Dana didn't listen and continued with her behavior. And the conversation that Ross and Chris had the first time, well, that put everything together for Ross, and he went home to confront her, and she just left. After that talk with Ross and Rachel, I realized she didn't deserve her stuff back. I gave her an option. She could have just apologized to me, and she could have her stuff back, but no. Later that week, me and some friends from the group chat went to my place to pack it up and donate most of it. I kept nothing. By the way, you can listen to a whole lot of something, and it's full episodes with stories quite similar to this. Just go to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, wherever you listen to podcasts, search OK Storytime. And there you have it, folks. We're easy to find. Do you want to know how she lost her new job? She and Tina got in an argument at work, and she slashed Tina's tires.
Dana.
Ooh, there was security camera footage, and the boss fired her immediately.
Oh, Dana.
Later, we found out that after she was living in a small, shared apartment with 2 Indian guys. Sometimes I think that the whole thing actually was crazy for her, and she was truly left with nothing and is living a crazy, crazy life now. But at the same time, I really did nothing wrong, and I'm kind of glad karma got to her. Bye. You almost did nothing wrong, except for the donating all of her crap stuff. But at the end of the day, in a way, you were kind of going to do the same thing. Because I doubt she was going to come get it. You've given her ammunition that she could theoretically weasel her way back in and become another headache in your life.
Indeed.